teams in front
I
of
don't
them.
want to hear that crap. Play somebody. Play
You
somebody.
want to join the SEC? You want to play Alabama every week in Georgia?
Let them join the ACC. I don't give a damn who they join, but play somebody.
You can't applaud SMU and then boo to Notre Dame.
Yes, I can.
You can.
Yes, I can because SMU beat ranked teams.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Throwdown Thursday edition, Week 14 of the college football season, last week of the regular season, we're going to have playoff talk, we're going to have Power 4, Group of 5, and wrap up regular season things strictly for entertainment purposes only. In segment 1, we'll do Power 4. In segment 2, Group of 5. And again, segment 3, strictly for entertainment purposes only. Let's jump right into the SEC. Final week, good wins by Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina. Yes, I have a little Mike King Petty. And Alabama. Lackluster performance by Georgia. You shouldn't need 8 overtimes to beat an ACC team. Ole Miss and Missouri, bad losses by Kentucky. Might be time for Stoops to go. Texas A&M, you had him in the clutches. And Oklahoma. And, of course, the big note, Saturday, December 7th, Texas, Georgia, SEC Championship. We're going to start with our Texas correspondent and our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, go anywhere you want in the SEC, sir. Always good to have you.
Oh, wow. There's a lot. First of all, I had no idea that South Carolina was 8-3 going into that Clemson game. And now all of a sudden people are like, ooh, South Carolina playoff. I'm like, what?
Nah.
All that said, I mean, the SEC came down to kind of what we thought it would come down to, Georgia and Texas, right? The first time those two teams played, Georgia pretty much had their way. This past weekend, Texas looked really good against Texas A&M. That game was not close, guys. Texas A&M did nothing on offense, nothing, and that's going to be a pretty good game. We'll see what comes out. Last but not least, Vanderbilt is bowl eligible. Diego Pavia gets another bowl game, baby.
and he's suing to get one more. He's suing to get one more. All right, George, you're my athletic director, man. What are you thinking about the SEC?
They proved to me, they probably proved themselves to be the top league in the country. The downside to that is that they really just cannibalized each other. And by the way, I was screaming South Carolina's greatness there early on, but they're a tough place South Carolina's a tough place to play. But the SEC is a victim of their own success because they just cannibalize. There's so many great teams. And they just cannibalized each other. Every one of those teams got that we thought were contenders for a while. And then they all got in and started beating up on each other. And I think that Texas kind of benefited a whole lot from it because Texas didn't play they played Georgia, but they didn't play any other real heavy hitters to it. So their schedule worked out well for them. I mean, Texas didn't play Ole Miss, Texas didn't play Tennessee, Texas didn't play South Carolina. So, we go down the list. Didn't play LSU. So, it worked out well. The problem is they probably going where we were talking earlier, where we'll probably see 3 or 4 SEC teams in the playoff. We're not going to get that this year because they just ate each other up. I think this is the first, for me personally, this is the first time I can remember, and anybody else speak up if you can, where we had not a clear favorite in the SEC. Like it was always like LSU and Alabama or Alabama and Georgia with only like one loss or going into the game with one loss or only one loss at the most. Now it's like it's kind of up in the air where it's anybody's game right now. So it's an interesting year. It's like who you gonna put your money on because you don't know who's coming. So because anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday. So Saturday, sorry about that. So
All right. See, team captain for life, Will Cotton. Will, we made a little bit of money on the SEC and lost a little bit. What do you think headed into the postseason?
I think George and Robert said it best. I won't harp on it. I'll say Texas A&M for the next 30 years. You're going to sit back and say, man, if we had some offense, we could have done something. For them to have no offense and they're 8-4. I mean, wow. I mean, they could easily be right there in the mix in the playoff if they had just a decent offense, or a dog somewhere on the offensive side. Even the game last night, based on the turnovers they got and the position of their field, they could easily have went up, and their defense was right there with them, and they could have upset the whole world by beating Texas. But they just had no, like Robert said, they had no offense. It's good that Florida, I felt a lot different about Florida during the season. Once they kind of said we're going to stick with this guy Napier, when they said we're going to stick with him, they actually started playing a lot better. They went out, they beat LSU, and everybody loved that. They embarrassed Florida State, and I'll talk about that in ACC when I have a couple things to talk about that. I know Alabama is really sick. Like, that loss that they had last week was just, unexcusable. That shouldn't happen, man. Tennessee is looking good, man. Tennessee is rolling and looking good at the right time. Let's see if they can keep it going. But this is the best I've seen in a long time for them. I was very happy that South Carolina won because, again, I'll talk about the AC side of that things. But mind your business, stay in your yard, talk about what's going on in your lawn. Don't talk about the next man's lawn. Talk about your lawn and make sure your lawn is green and watered. Things like that. The game was Georgia Tech, man. I mean, I stayed up late. I was watching it with family, man. That thing was crazy. That was a good game. Unfortunately, Georgia won because I'm all about chaos, man. I was hoping they lost and then messed everything up. But yeah, it was standard. And like George and Robert says, I mean, at the end of the day, you have a team, Texas, that's been the most consistent and more balanced on the team, whether offensive, defense, and special teams. And that's the product of that. So that's what we're seeing. Great week, and let's get with the playoffs started. I don't know why we're talking with this bull stuff.
All right, speaking of chaos, Big Ten, good wins by Oregon, Michigan, Indiana, Minnesota, Iowa, Rutgers. Lackluster performance by Illinois and UCLA. Bad losses by Ohio State. Again, I say often on this show, I don't know who you can lose to, but I know who you can't. Wisconsin, Nebraska, Maryland. Hey, locks. Kind of let that one go. And USC. Big note, of course, Saturday, December 7th, Penn State versus Oregon for the Big Ten championship. George. I know I'm setting myself up, and I know you're going to correct me, and Robert's here too. Any thoughts about the Big Ten this week?
Yeah, they're phonies. Outside of Oregon, they're phonies. I mean, it's about what happens on the field. And somebody called me last night and had the nerve to ask me, hey, does Penn State, what do you think of Penn State in the championship? When has Penn State ever showed up in any big game whatsoever? When? They have frauds. They are the most top-heavy conference we have in college football. You got Ohio State, Candy, and I'll go right back to it. I know everybody else probably feels the same way. Next year, we're going to have a rule come out about no flag planting or anything like that in the middle of the field. But why are you going to be tough guy now after you got your butt kicked for 60 minutes? I mean, Michigan took over the line on Ohio State, took it over, and they couldn't do anything. Michigan beat them without an offense yesterday. I mean, I don't even know if Michigan's offense, Texas A&M got more of an offense than Michigan does, and they still couldn't beat them. So I don't even want to hear all this crying about, don't come plant a flag on the field and don't go do this. It's ridiculous. I mean, that league is so top heavy. They don't play each other, which is the big thing. So there's no real heavy hitters. Ohio State's the only one that did, and the 2 times they did, they pretty much lost. I mean, they beat Indiana, they lose to Oregon, and then they get their butts handed to them by Michigan. So what do you got? I mean, Oregon ran the table. Imagine this: we were talking last year about the Pac who, and then you got a Pac-10, Pac-12 team come in and win, which is arguably the second best conference in the country. Okay, whatever. So now you're looking at, I'm still on Indiana. I hope they do well. They make it in. But you got Penn State, who played one game, snuck past a couple others, and then they wind up in the championship. So we'll see. And Keith, you go ahead and put your money on Penn State if you want to. Go right ahead. Have fun with that. Call me. I have fun collecting your money, which I will do again next week. So go ahead.
Robert, I know what you're going to say. But I have to ask anyway, what are your thoughts on the Big Ten and Penn State and Oregon in the championship game? PCA #1, baby.
Well, I mean, they backed into getting drummed is what they did, because I think Oregon is going to thump them. And I don't disagree with George's assessment of the Big Ten, but they're going to have 4 teams in the playoff. Ohio State's getting in. I'm telling you right now, Ohio State is in. And Indiana, based on the rankings, Indiana did nothing to jeopardize their ranking. Indiana's going to be in. There are going to be 4 Big Ten teams in the playoff. Write it down.
I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree with him.
All right, Cotton, you're my player. You're on Penn State. You're playing Oregon for the championship. The guys in the locker room, do y'all really think you can play? Or are you like Robert, like, how do we get here? Oh, my goodness. What are we going to do?
I mean, kids are young, and these kids are different. So when they start feeling adversity, they jump in the transfer portal. Where is life gonna be better for me? Where can I make more money, and where can I win? These kids are from the AAU era, so when things get hard, let's team up. Let's team up with the team that whooped us. Let's do what KD did. Let's join the Golden State Warriors, things like that. That's the things that we see. Guys don't see adversity, so it's hard to really get a gauge for a team, because these guys don't go, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and they go through the battle together. And it's like, well, man, I remember freshman, we got our butt kicked. I'm back for this revenge. You know what I'm saying? They don't do that. They leave. And it's unfortunate, because they'll get a whole different team next year, and people are expecting, like, oh, remember they whooped you last, and da 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 da. It's like, man, I was in Oregon State. I was in Arkansas last year. I don't remember this. I saw it on TV. I'm with you, but I wasn't there. So guys, I was in James Madison. So these dudes, there's no layover. You know what I'm saying? There's no more like fighting next year. I don't remember it. The teams that won needed to win, except for Ohio State. I think Ohio State was playing safe. They played very conservative. They had one receiver, I forgot his name, but he scored the first touchdown, and then they went away from him. They stopped going to him. So obviously they were trying to keep guys safe, trying to keep guys not get hurt and play in the playoff. That's not how you play football, man. That's not how you play football. And they deserve to lose, and they deserve to have a flag right in their field. I think they should keep doing that. They've been doing it for 50 years, and we had no issues. But now people are crying, and they should outlaw it. That's BS to me. No, you play. If you want to stop people from putting a flag on your field, play better. Don't cry. Like you said, don't cry now. After the fact, if people are laughing at you and talking about you, and social media videos and everything like that. Loxley, look, man, play better. Don't go to your coach and say, hey, man, like, take it easy. No, that doesn't happen, because I got kids who want to play. And when these kids get in the field and I'm running this play, these kids are trying to score. Nobody's trying to slide. Nobody trying to take a knee. Nobody easing up. They coming. These kids are hungry, and you're cheating, you're cheating the game, man. But like you guys said, Big Ten, SEC, other guys got to figure it out.
All right. Big 12.
Wait, hang on. One more
You
thing.
got it, man. You
One more
got it.
thing. So Ohio State, I mean, maybe they were playing it safe against Michigan, but that's a game they can't lose that game. Ryan Day,
Like your coach, his coach.
No, I don't think, and this comes
Ryan Day can't lose that game. And I'll tell you right now, if Ohio State loses their first playoff game, he's gone. See ya.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think there's a chance he might be gone anyway, because that's that one time where, like, he's national championship or bust, because he hasn't beat Michigan in 4 years, and you can't
In a row. In a row.
You can't have that job and not beat Michigan. So that's one thing, and I don't think he was playing it safe. Unlike, I think that, like, your other example, I think Texas A&M just doesn't have an offensive coordinator. Or if they did, he didn't show up last night. But with Ryan,
I think Ohio State was not playing to win; they were trying not to lose. So maybe I said it wrong. They were not trying to play. They were not trying to lose, but they weren't trying to win, because I was looking at the plays that they were, and it doesn't look like they were trying to win at all.
If that's the case, then Ryan Day needs to be fired now, because that is the one game that you're supposed to go all out for every year. Leave, put the women and children in bed, and let's go looking for dinner, because that is the game where any and everything's on the table. It's your rivalry game. It's arguably the biggest rivalry in college football. You don't go in there and play safe, because if you do, you wind up without a job. So I don't understand that. That's Ryan Day, James Franklin, same boat. See what happens. They're just in two different circumstances.
One or though.
Big 12. All right, good wins for Colorado, Arizona State, Utah, BYU, Baylor, Texas Tech, at TCU. Iowa State was unimpressive. Kansas, bad loss. West Virginia, bad loss. I hope you're not owning in West Virginia. Oklahoma State, hey, Mike, it rarely ends well. UCF, you see Gus Malzahn, saw the handwriting on the wall and said, adios, amigos. And Kansas State, the big game, Saturday, December 7th, for the Big 12 championship. Iowa State against Arizona State. This is a one-bid league. Will Cotton, what are you thinking about the Big 12, man?
It'll be the conference I won't be caring about. I was hoping somehow, and I was looking at the graphic they had on ESPN. They said who had to lose, who had to win. And we had to see for Colorado to get in for the championship. And if Colorado's not in the championship, I ain't watching. I'm good. Next question.
All right, George, Big 12, man. What are you thinking? Can they sneak in two teams?
No. But I really like the Big 12, because you saw a situation where everybody got a chance to play everybody. Your top teams went head to head, and they did what top teams do to each other in the conference. They beat up on each other. So I give them credit. I give whoever the scheduling department and everything else with the Big 12, I give them credit. Unlike the Big 10, the Big 12, the top teams all played each other. So you get to see who's decent, who's not decent, or whatever. And we got some teams that just, that came out of this that meat grinder on top. You had like 4 of them. So, and it just so happened that 2 out of the 4 are going to play for the championship. Will, you might not be watching, but those Arizona Sun Devils are tough. We're going to see what they're going to do, because I got a feeling they're going to win that. They're going to win the conference championship, and we'll see what they do in the playoff. But and they'll be a tough out. So yeah, the Big 12, if nothing else, was entertaining. They were very entertaining each week. They had some good games.
Robert, thoughts on the Big 12? Can they sneak in too, or no, not at all?
Nah. Winner of the championship game is in. They were entertaining. Baylor and Texas Tech both won 8 games. I think in the preseason we talked about Baylor needing, maybe getting to 500, and they want the games. They're going to a bowl game, and their coach Campo saved his job. So,
that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah.
All right. ACC, good wins by Syracuse. SMU, thank you, Robert. I went to the pay window. Louisville, Duke, Jordan Moore. Shout out to Percy Moore, Pay Branch class of 88. And Virginia Tech won. Lackluster performance by BC and NC State. Bad loss by Miami. Clemson lost. Yes, I'm Mike King Petty on Clemson. Stanford, UNC, Virginia. The big game, December 7th, Clemson versus SMU for the ACC championship. Will Cotton, you've got it. Take it away, sir. ACC.
I won't get too crazy. I know I get rants, so let me just keep it easy. But here you got Florida State and you have Clemson, two opposite sides coaches who believe in the transfer portal in different reasons. One believes in bringing in all kinds of talent in the transfer portal. The other one believes in no transfer portals. I do my thing. I recruit and bring people in. Both ended up losing and not making in the playoffs badly. You have to find that balance. So it's one of those things where you can bring in talent through the portal, but you got to have the program to be able to bring those kids and believe in the culture, and then they can fight for you and do things like that. Florida State didn't do that, and they lost. They lost terribly by Florida, and that was a game that they could have actually have won because Florida was playing. I think their starting quarterback was like a freshman and he walk on. Like, I'm like, you can't win that game. He puts up almost 40 points. Like, that's ridiculous. 30 points, I'm sorry. Clemson, I'm glad they lost. I'm so glad they lost. Mind your business, man. Mind your business. Don't peek over the fence. Don't be looking in people's yard. Don't look at nobody's lawn. Don't focus on and if he focused on himself and didn't have to make those comments, South Carolina probably wouldn't have had the extra fire to teach him something about, hey, why are you talking about my conference? Why are you worried about me? You know what I'm saying? Why are you even talking about me? That's crazy. The last thing I'll say is I was watching college game day, and they were doing the picks, and they were talking about Syracuse and Miami. And Nick Saban immediately said, give me Syracuse. I want Syracuse. They're a tough game at home. I took them. And they did not disappoint to me. So Nick Saban, I guess he knows a little bit. But ACC got to figure it out and figure out what they're doing with the transfer portal because, you can't just either none or all. You got to do something.
All right, George, ACC. What do you think, man?
The conference title that nobody wanted. I mean, we had teams were running scared from it all year. I mean, Miami. We thought Miami was going to do what they need to do, but they flirted with danger all year and it finally caught them and bit them in the behind. What's interesting is that Robert SMU is actually pretty good. I actually sat down and watched them. Their quarterback is actually really impressive. He is really impressive. So they're gonna be good. Looking at the like what Will was talking about, Florida State suffered from not having a quarterback all year. The defense actually wasn't too bad, but you can only be but so well with the defense. In a game where you got continuously getting pounded, defense can't win games for you. And it cost them with Florida yesterday as usual because I think Florida State was I think they had to walk on as the backup right now. So I think the biggest issue with them was thinking that DJ Ungale was going to come in and be good for them because he hasn't been his whole career. So that was a problem. You talk Dabo, of course, wanted to make the news and the headlines, and somehow Dabo backs into the ACC championship game, who Clemson has a chance to win and could be in the playoffs, which is crazy. So here we go, kid. So they legitimately have a chance to win that game and go into and be in the playoff because they should have beat, if not for divine luck coming down, they should have beat South Carolina yesterday. So it'll be interesting. I mean, whoever the one team is from the ACC, whether it's SMU or Clemson, technically it might be more because of all the losses, but we'll see. I doubt it very seriously, but we'll see. That team will be formidable. There'll be a good test for whoever they get in the first round. So,
All right, Robert, introduce SMU to America because they've been plotting this for about 30 years.
the takeover.
Talk to me.
I'll tell you what. I mean, they pretty much, once they decided they were going to the ACC, they all of a sudden money started coming out of the woodwork up there because I mean, what, 3, 4, 5 years ago, this was a middle of the road American Conference team.
Yep.
They were not good.
Mhm.
And they put it together. That's a good team. They're not getting in the playoff if they lose to Clemson. I'll say that. The ACC is a one bid league, and if Clemson wins, they're going to be in, and then we get to listen to the whole transfer story again. Dabo will run his mouth, and then they'll play some SEC team and get smacked again. So,
Rinse and repeat.
SMU is legit though. That is a very good team.
All right. To close out, I am going to slather and root for Notre Dame. Notre Dame understood the assignment. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, and the teachers showed them the syllabus and said, here's what you got to do to get an A. And we all, in some aspects of education, they're the kid that said, okay, if I do this, and this, then I can get the grade I want for my report card. And Notre Dame did that. So the question is, where will they be ranked? And will they host a home game? Because Notre Dame doesn't have to share any money with anybody. So again, I salute Notre Dame for being the kid in class that understood the assignment and said, okay, here's what I have to do to pass, and I'm going to do just that. So kudos to Notre Dame. Robert, you're my administrator. Am I crazy, or is Notre Dame that kid that gobbled for an A?
No, that's it. And we talked early on about playoff teams don't lose to directional schools, but apparently you can get away with that because they're going to be in the play. They're in, and they're going to get a home game. They're not going to be top 4, but they're going to get a home game, and they, I mean, theoretically, at least, I guess they could be like number 5.
They could be 5 because they're ranked 5 now.
They could be number 5, which means they're probably going to play Boise.
No, Boise will probably be higher, and they'll play that rotten Big 12 school that sneaks in.
Yeah, I mean, either that or they're going to play, Arizona State, Iowa State.
Yeah.
I mean.
So Will Cotton, as the kid who knew the assignment, because you're that kid that said, okay, I need to get this GPA. All right, let me manipulate. I don't need to take AP. I'll take honors. Tell me how you're feeling about Notre Dame.
That's how you play the game. I mean, you play the game, man. But kind of, on the side of Notre Dame, they beat Texas A&M early, which is a great win for them. A bad loss for them. Everyone says Northern Illinois. And then the wins they got, I mean, 66-7 to Purdue, 28-3 to Miami. You beat Louisville, and they're ranked. You beat Stanford 49-7, 51-14 versus Navy, 31. So you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat them. So it's almost like, well, I got to pass this quiz instead with an 80, but I get a 90 or a 95. So they were doing a little bit better than we thought, and they've been winning very quietly, very, very quietly. Even the games they're talking about, it's like, ooh, Notre Dame is playing Stanford, and nobody like, whatever, we ain't paying attention for that. And then you look back, and it's 49-7. I think this team is a result of their coach, and I always will come back to say this guy, young dude, Marcus Freeman, he's actually my age, so I know how it feels to come in there and people think they're young and you don't think you're going on. Everyone wants to tell you what you're doing. You just focus on yourself. You got your philosophy that's going on. And he turned his team to a laughingstock who are losing these, embarrassing games. And now they're right in the thick of the playoff. he needs a lot big applause. You know, a lot of people don't talk about him. They talk about Dabo and, you know, they talk about Ryan Day and they talk about all these guys. No one talks about Marcus Freeman. And this guy has put an amazing program together and turned them around in a short span of time. So I give him a big applause for Notre Dame. They beating the teams they need to beat, like you said, Coach. And, you know, once you have the plan, stick to it, stick to the syllabus, man, and you'll go far. And they did what they needed to do. So let's see what they do in the playoffs.
George, did they beat the system?
Well, that was a beautiful soliloquy you just had about how great Notre Dame is and Marcus Freeman and what he did. I applaud you for that. Notre Dame backed in just like Penn State's backing in. They played nobody. Don't give me this crap. That was
Army
all
was
feel
right,
good.
George.
That was a feel-good story. Miami of Ohio. That wasn't no damn Miami University of Miami.
They didn't choose their schedule. They get who they got. And
I
they beat
don't
the people
care.
in front
I
of
don't
them.
want to hear that crap. Play somebody. Play
You want
somebody.
to join the SEC? You want to play Alabama every week and Georgia?
Let them join the ACC. I don't give a damn who they join, but play somebody.
You can't applaud SMU and then boo to Notre Dame.
Yes, I can.
You can.
Yes, I can. Because SMU beat ranked teams. Give me
Notre Dame
was ranked.
Notre Dame
Who?
beat every
Army
ranked
was
team
ranked.
that they played.
Did you
Every
just say
ranked team
Army?
they
Did you
beat
just say Army was ranked?
I
They
did.
beat them.
They
Oh
were.
They
my
beat
God.
them.
Oh my
They beat
God.
Army. They beat Navy. They beat Texas A&M. They beat Louisville. How many ranked teams do you want them to play? They beat four teams.
They backed in.
They're
They
4-0
backed
in
in.
their ranked teams.
They
How many
backed
more
in.
teams?
Like I said,
How
they
many more
backed
teams
in.
do they have to? How many more
You
teams?
gave
How many
me-
ranked teams do you have to beat?
You gave me Louisville, who's paper thin.
How? No.
You gave
how
me
many ranked?
no.
I
You
don't
just
control.
heard me.
I don't
You
control
just
the
heard me.
ranks.
You just heard me.
And when
You
we
just
get
heard me.
back in segment 2,
Jesus, they
we're
might
gonna
as well
go
be
group of
the
five.
Penn State. The Penn State with white.
one loss.
The
We'll
Penn
be
State
right
with gold.
back.
The Penn State with gold.
This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today.
Position Alabama
Jesus.
lost 3 times.
Jesus.
Welcome back to the Coach.
They're as bad as Penn State. I don't want to even hear
Segment
this
2,
crap.
yes, we have still
God.
continued that. Let's go group of 5.
Set us up with this little pretty soliloquy about,
So
it's
in the
so nice
American-
and great.
They'll get a win
Yeah,
now.
he did a great
I'm gonna show them
job.
this. I'm gonna send them this, and they're gonna. This is gonna be the locker room. This is what they're gonna get in.
Send
In
it
the
to him. I
American-
want to hear it. Maybe they'll beat
Tulane
somebody worth their salt.
take
Oh,
on
let 'em
Army
hear it.
in the
Jesus.
championship. So Army made the championship game.
Oh, who cares? Go into the next damn game. Army in the championship. Jeez, are you kidding me?
Two ranked teams. Everybody gonna love
Any
it.
prediction
Army's
on
tough.
Tulane and
Army's
Army
tough.
in the American Conference Championship, sir?
I got Tulane. That's it. Go ahead. Whoever else.
Go ahead,
Army.
Robert.
Jeez, I'm taking Army just because I just listened to all that for however long that went on, because that was something right there. I'm taking Army just because of that.
Will, Army is playing for the American Conference Championship against Tulane. Any predictions on that game, sir?
Give me Army to validate George and end his hate. Let that brother sleep easy. He'll know. They're
So to George's point,
I'm
6 schools
asleep.
in the American Athletic Conference will be looking for head coaches this year, and it will possibly 7. So the
Hi, George.
American.
All right, George, go beat Notre Dame, right? Hire him.
All right. So down the Mountain West, my favorite conference all year, strictly for entertainment purposes only. UNLV will take on Boise State. So, Will, first of all, what was the dude's name again? Because UNLV is playing for their conference championship without him as quarterback. I
He's
already
long
forgot
gone.
his name.
Long time. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
still winning.
yeah.
Nobody
Oh,
remembers
oh,
his name. They're
Oh
still
yeah,
winning.
my man that rolled out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing for a title.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ended up 10,
George,
10 and 2.
Yeah.
They really needed him, huh?
Yeah.
George, as a football question, they've been running that boy in the ground. Does he have anything left, or will UNLV upset Boise and mess up everything?
Well, let's speak to this in two parts. One, his draft stock, he worries me because he gets drafted, he goes into the league. He might have 2 years, maybe 3 years of tread on him because Boise's offense is him, period. And they run. I'm up here watching Boise because thank God, because Boise's always on an odd time. It's always like a Saturday night or something. And they run him right, they run him left, they run a screen on him. I mean, one night I watched Boise and he's in the shoulder brace. He can't use one arm and he's only using the other. I'm worried when he gets into the league. I'm worried about how much tread he has on him because how many hits he's going to take. That being said, he is a monster. He is going to run. He's going to run over whoever they put in front of him. He will score. I don't know. I don't think UNLV really has a real chance in this game. And you know, Boise's going to earn their spot. But yeah, their offense is him. I don't. And for him, with him, I mean, literally, if we were back in the old system, if I was him, I'd take off. Yeah, yesterday would have been my last game, and I wouldn't play no more this year.
Is he a senior?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It won't matter whether he is a senior, but it wouldn't matter because he was leaving this year anyway. So
yeah.
Robert, do we have any predictions for UNLV Boise, sir?
They're going Gentie's going to have 40 carries for 250. They're going to ride that horse. That horse as long as he can carry him.
That's just, yes, you do what you got to do, but yeah, they're running that boy to death. 37 carries against whoever. That's just too much, but whatever. Okay, Conference USA. Big championship Friday, December 6th. Western Kentucky going against Jacksonville State. Rich Rod is in the business. This is a rematch from this past week. Hey, Robert, can Rich Rod win another championship and maybe get to another level again?
Sure. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen either of those two teams. I have no idea what's going on there.
They're two of the best teams in Conference USA playing for the richest prize. George, what do you think? Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, for all the marbles.
Robert, I have seen them, and I think that this week, I think would they lose? Jacksonville State's the best team in that conference. Now, if as long as they show up, they win. If they don't show up and get, as Dion would say, start smelling themselves, then they don't win. So it is because I think they just lost to them this past week.
This is an immediate rematch.
Yeah, they laid the egg, which is interesting. I don't know if that is a new and different that you play a team 1 week and got to come back around and play them again. That is tough. That is tough on any team. So we'll see. But yeah, Jacksonville State should win that game, but we'll see what happens.
All right, Cotton Man, what are you thinking about the Conference USA Championship?
I agree with George. I think this is Jacksonville State's to win. Western Kentucky, I mean, they had a great season, 8-4 out of the traditional, what they've done. This is their chance. This is your chance. Friday night, this is what you play for. I hope they can, get up for it. I hope they can make it a game. The spread isn't too bad. It's -3, for entertainment purposes, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be relatively close. So like George said, if Jacksonville State shows up, then I expect them to come away with the win.
Thank you for that, Will. I just saw that everything got reset. Okay. Anyway, Sun Belt Conference, George, championship Saturday, December 7th, Marshall Thundering Herd against Louisiana. Talk to me, sir. Who do you have?
Well, December 3rd, when I want some time to really take a nap before I watch something worthwhile, I will watch the championship of this conference. But Jacksonville, okay, who we talking? Louisiana. Louisiana's good, but they should probably run through the Thundering Herd. But yeah, I'll it's a snoozer. It's a snoozer.
Robert, do we care that Marshall's playing Louisiana, sir?
No, not at all.
Okay, back to some action. Saturday, December 7th, Ohio will play the vaunted Redbirds of Miami of Ohio. Wilcott, what do you think, man? Do you care about some action?
I'll check it out. Ohio usually has pretty good players. I mean, if they're not going to Ohio State, then they're going to Ohio or Miami, Ohio. So they have some pretty good athletes. Saturday, noon, I ain't doing nothing. I'll turn it on. Why not? I think it'd be interesting. It'd be one of those like one of those championship games that you'll see like the next 2 years. Like, oh, they won 39-35. Ohio with an amazing. These are the games when you get these crazy things that going on. So I'll check it out. No money on it, but strictly entertainment for myself.
George, you've watched action over the years. Any thoughts on Ohio versus Miami of Ohio?
Yeah, it's not entertaining. Mac hasn't been entertaining at all this year. And what's worse is they're playing this bowl in indoors. There's no snow or wild weather to make the Mac the Mac what the Mac is. So I'm not this one. I'm gonna watch. I'd watch the Raging Cajuns when their conference championship to watch this one. So yeah, no.
All right, Robert, any action?
Tuesday night action. Are you not entertained?
No, not without the weather. Not without the weather, man.
Oh,
in Detroit,
well,
they're not even in Ohio.
I'm not watching that game either.
They got to be in like the Cleveland Stadium or like somewhere that has some snow or
I think they're going to play it in Detroit like they've been doing.
I don't know why in Detroit. Why in Detroit?
They're playing in the Dome in Detroit instead of playing outdoors at Toledo or somewhere where we know we're going to get some snow and rain mixed together to make the Mac what the Mac is. So I'm not.
That's when you think you're better than yourself. That's when you think you're better than you are.
To close out, we've got some HBCU notes. Saturday, December 7th, the SWAC championship. Southern is playing Jackson State.
Who needs Dion?
Hey, shout out to Eddie George. He won OVC Coach of the Year at Tennessee State, but unfortunately they lost to Montana in the playoffs.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we lost an Alabama A&M player, Medrick Burnett Jr. Had a head injury in a game in October. We hate to see that piece. And they had the Celebration Bowl. I think the winner of Jackson State and Southern will play South Carolina State in the Celebration Bowl for the HBCU National Championship. So when we get back in segment 3, we will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only, and I get to wrap up 14 weeks of gambling. Can't wait to share my results. My colleagues will laugh at me, and my wife already has. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is segment 3. Here we go with the rankings. All right. There's a difference between seeding and ranking. We have to tell you that every week. I got Texas winning the SEC over Georgia. I do. I have Oregon winning the Big Ten. I have SMU winning the ACC. I'm going to go with Iowa State over the to win the Big 12. Doesn't matter. It's only one team going. And I have Boise State winning the Mountain West. So that's 5 schools. So that means we've got 7 left. Penn State's in. Whether they win or lose, they made it to the championship, and their 2 losses are pretty good losses. So, yeah, they're in. I'm still worried about Georgia, but I still think they can't get Georgia in. Forget Georgia. Tennessee, Ohio State, Clemson can't get in, thank God. Notre Dame's in. No, they can't do it. Come on. SMU has to put me out of my misery. And I'm just at a loss for the rest of them because this is crazy. So, Robert, calm me down. Who do you have as that last group getting into the playoffs, sir?
Okay, Georgia's in. Georgia's in. I have Georgia in. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if Texas beats them. They're in. I have Indiana in. I mean, they're just they
beat who they were supposed to beat, and they beat them badly.
They beat who they were supposed to beat. That Michigan win looks a lot better now that Michigan beat Ohio State. I have Notre Dame obviously is in. Ohio State is still in. And I guess you take South Carolina because they're the highest ranked SEC team standing. They're ranked above Alabama. I don't know. It's the last team in that 12th team is going to be an SEC team because you're not going to have 4 Big Ten teams and not have 4 SEC teams.
All right, George, take a shot at it, man.
I'm looking at the rankings going as we went in. And I'm pretty much with Robert. My only thing is I think that last 12 team might be Miami. And the reason I say that is because they are 6th. I think they were sitting 6th starting off. I don't, and I think not playing next weekend is going to be an assist to them, to where I don't know if it becomes an assist. It doesn't become an assist to South Carolina because only if Clemson would win the ACC. If Clemson would win the ACC, I think that would allow South Carolina to jump enough up into the top 9 or whatever and be able to do it. Right now, if we held chalk where everything is, like you said, I think that Miami's going to be because I don't see them dropping, but so far because so many people dropped underneath them, we'll see. I think my money will be I got Miami, saying Miami's going to be the one, be that last team.
All right, Cotton Man, you are my regular guy, man. What are you thinking?
Crazy.
I think Miami's out. I think that was a bad loss for them. I think Clemson, SMU is going to supplant there. Now, SMU loses. I think then you could talk about Miami being in, but it's up to them. But
that's a sin. That's a sin what you just said, because that will allow Dabo into the college playoff. That's a sin there.
I'm not with the guy. I didn't create the system. So, I didn't create the system. But, if it works for him, it works for him. Again, like y'all said, even if he gets in, I don't think he's going to win because he's a complainer. And the energy in the universe does not allow complainers win. You have to be a true winner. I do want Miami to get in. I want to see Cam Ward in a playoff environment, see how he plays against that. But yeah, I think this is a great thing for the NCAA. They should have went 12 teams years ago, because right now we're watching to the end of the season and every game means something. And even now we're going into conference championships, it means something. So I say outside of Miami and swapping Clemson, we'll see what happens. I think the ACC that's the one that's going to be changing things for the ranking.
Miami is out. I don't know.
Which is crazy to me that
Miami is out.
Which is crazy.
Out. They're out.
Which is crazy to me. I mean, I get it, but it's also like crazy to say like we lost two games. They what 10-2.
They lost. Yeah, they're 10-2.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And they're bad losses, and they knew what they had. They knew what they had to do.
They had the answers to the test.
They knew
they had well, wait a minute. See, but that speaks to,
and they couldn't figure it out.
That speaks to the same thing that what we were talking about. Let's go back to Notre Dame, who loses to a directional school. So, I mean, it's the same argument.
But yes, but Notre Dame knew the test, and they actually did what they were supposed to do. As Will said, I didn't create this system. Every week we say to the fans, hey, look, this is how they booked it. And they booked themselves, SEC and Big Ten, right out of positions. So what's going to happen is at the next bite at the apple, they're going to have 16 teams. And they're not going to, just like in the NCAA tournament, we need more teams in. That's because they want the 8-8 conference, team from the Power Conference, not the better mid-majors.
Yeah.
So
no,
they beat themselves out of the system, and they lost, and it's their fault.
The one that beat themselves out of the system really was the SEC. The SEC was the one that did it. I think that
too smart for their own good.
The Big Ten did this right here works well for the Big Ten because the Big Ten is so top heavy. The SEC it beat themselves right out of it because the SEC is a minefield. Period. The way it's going through, so it benefit this system. What we've come to find out, I think, is that it benefits your top heavy conferences.
Yeah, and Indiana is the equivalent of an NFL team that got a 5th place schedule and just turned that thing around so quick because they weren't looking for that anyway. But with that, season-long bets. So for 14 weeks, fans, I did season-long bets. I did 20 different teams, put out 100, only got back 75. All right, so that's on me. Put out 987 games a week, betting the money. And I brought back 130. So that's a 13% increase. So overall, I was plus 9%. My wife's a financial specialist. She said, so basically in 14 weeks, you made $100. So if that makes you happy, good for you. So I went 3-4 the last regular season game, my showcase game, South Carolina +3. My 2-play was UNC -3.5 and Duke -3.5. And go figure, Mac Brown can't win on his way out. Mac, you're supposed to win on your way out. Okay. My 3-play, Notre Dame took care of business. And then we had Miami and Ohio State. What are y'all doing? You know the rules. You know the situation. My 4-play, Miami, SMU, Notre Dame, Texas. Well, 3 people knew what to do, and 1 team didn't. I took the over for South Carolina. Clemson didn't get that. Took the under for Texas A&M, and in the group chat, I'm yelling defense. And my upset game, of course, you knew I was picking South Carolina over Clemson. So week 15 games and notes. We do have our championship games Friday. Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State for Conference USA. Tulane and Army for the American. Go Army. And UNLV, Boise State. I kind of want UNLV to win just for the sheer up your nose with a rubber hose to whoever left. Okay. Saturday. Yes, I'm that old. 3 people laugh. Saturday, Iowa State against Arizona State for the Big 12 championship. Ohio versus Miami of Ohio for the Maction championship. Southern against Jackson State for the SWAC. Georgia, Texas, SEC. Marshall, Louisiana for the Sun Belt. Clemson, SMU for the ACC. Clemson's going to win that thing. Rats. And Penn State against Oregon. Push your chips to the middle because this is the time that Penn State goes from a good team to a great team. Robert, any final thoughts this week?
If you want to lose your money, put it on Penn State. I'm just gonna say that. And I mean there's some that it won't be as good a weekend of football as Thanksgiving weekend, all the rivalry games on Saturday and stuff, but it should be a pretty good Saturday of football.
All right, George, anything of note that you're looking forward to for championship weekend?
Well, let me back this up by saying if you had listened to us, you would have done a lot better than you did this year.
I did better though. Will can tell you I'm much better this year than last year.
Yeah, but you're still hard-headed because you still won't listen to us when we tell you something. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. I want to see if the shakeup happens. If we get a couple of these wins happen that we weren't that from these teams that we thought were underdogs, it will keep the turbulent waters that we've had all season long. It will continue to happen, which I kind of foresee it. I kind of can see some upsets and stuff taking place, and which is going to shake up college football again. So you will once chaos. We probably go. We've had it all year. We're probably going to get it again.
All right, yeah. Cotton Man, close us out. Any thoughts headed into championship week?
Man, I had an 8-leg parlay last night. Yesterday.
God, dog.
Everything hit. Everything. I had Army money line, South Carolina plus 8.5, Syracuse plus 11.5, Arizona State minus 8.5, Penn State minus 24.5, Notre Dame money line, Oregon minus 18.5. Who got me was Auburn plus 10.5. And they shouldn't have given away that scored early in the third quarter, and that kind of failed me. So, but we're looking up for the next game, next game, fellas, next game.
All right. So on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.